When it comes to the betterment of your lower back using nothing but the space around you, no equipment, no gym, and perhaps just a floor, here's probably the best way that you can go about it using a little bit of stretching, a lot of stretching. When it comes to the lumbar or the spine, you might think of it as something rigid or in a completely straight line, when in reality it's a lot more malleable and pliable than it really is, simply being just a bunch of vertebrae that stack on top of one another, and in between each vertebrae is a little bit of a soft spot that will allow you to bend left and right. So with that in mind, in order to make our low back as optimal as possible, it's all about controlling that ooh, ooh, ooh. The first motion that we're gonna go ahead and instill into our body is known as the cat-cow. It can be done standing on the ground on all fours and or bent over. All we're really doing is we're putting an arch in our lower back, and then we're gonna put a round into our low back. By doing so, we're simply teaching our spine how to move in open space in order to get it unstiff, and really more important, to build that mind muscle connection, mind skeleton connection that we have with our lower spine. The body hardly ever works as an individual opponent. Most of the time it's always working in congruency with another body part. In this case, when we go ahead and apply that little bit of a arch into our spine, what we also want to think about is moving our hips as far back as possible while taking that chest and pushing it out as far forward as possible, like so. But as we're pushing out, we're also trying to think about pushing our shoulders back as much as possible. It will look like the same can be said about the cat position of the cat-cow stretch. What we're gonna first start off with is we're gonna take that big old stomach and we're gonna suck it in as much as possible. As we go ahead and suck it in, the hips are gonna move backwards while the shoulders move forwards at the same time, making it look like that. Now we have as much rounding as possible, stomach sucking in, shoulders over our body. Combining the two together, the motion may be a little bit exaggerated, but that's exactly what we want to create the most wooey motion within our lower spine. Going something like ah, ooh. The motion doesn't have to be quick, it has to be controlled and as big as possible. Though starting off with a smaller range of motion is quite acceptable at first, it's all about building that little bit of connection over time. Everything that was done while standing up can be done more calmly upon the ground by first setting ourselves up into a strong table position. First, we're gonna go ahead and start in this nice little seated knee position, place our hands on the ground. Rotate our shoulders right above our wrists and move our legs backwards a little bit. Starting in this neutral position with a neutral head position, we will enter the cow by lifting our head up and dropping that lower spine downwards as far as we can go. We're also going to be thinking about trying to extend that lower spine out as far as we can to get the most possible stretchination happening in our body. While it may not feel as if much is happening, it will help to build a little bit of that mind muscle, mind skeleton connection. From here, it's not only just about fully extending that lower back, it's also about taking that upper body and those scapulas and applying a little bit of a pinch. That little bit of a pinch happening there will help to extend that chest outwards, creating even more of a arc within our bodies. Like that. And then the reverse motion, we take everything we just did and then we compact it and stretch it upwards. We're gonna take our head and then we're gonna dip it down. Stomach, suck it in. Remember, stomach, suck it in. So head down, stomach, suck it in. And we're gonna push with our arms. We're looking like that to create the cat position. And then we simply reverse everything and then bring it all the way back out into a full extension, repeating the motion. When it comes to the breathing, you can either inhale as you go into one position and exhale as you go out into the other. Whatever is your prefer. I believe the prefer is more like this. Inhale in as we go into the cow. Exhale out as we go into the cat. It's vital that you just don't think of your lumbar as a place where pain exists, but as a place where healing can begin and motion should always be happening. To further facilitate the motion within our lower spine and expand its repertoire of movement, we're gonna apply what's known as the hip circle. It's all about going into 4 directions, mainly forward, side, back, and the other side. Whenever anything is done while standing up, it's always the feet that creates the base of balance. So we don't want a narrow stance, relatively wide with the toes slightly pointed to the outside. This will give you a lot of control for when we start to put some massive bend within our hips. A proper big hip circle, when done in earnest, will look as if you're falling over to each individual points to go to the right and the left, or the left and the right. All we really gotta do is think about our hip completely jutting out to the side like it's been kicked, with it being jutted out to the side. The torso, while remaining in this straight plane, will go ahead and bend over as far as it can. You will feel a stretch going on along here, though you may not feel much in the spine. Because we're essentially taking the spine and forcing it to the side, the lower vertebrae will start to bend a little bit. That's motion, and that's what we like. Moving onwards to the next part of the hip circle, it's all about creating a hip hinge. In order to hip hinge, you imagine this is string right here tied into the lower back, and so on. Pose it. When it's posed, you extend that upper chest, almost kind of like we're doing a cow in the previous exercise. Pose, extend upper chest, head up. Try and go as far back as you can. You'll feel a stretch within the hamstrings. It's not a bad thing. It's actually a pretty good thing. From here, in order to reverse the motion, we suck in those glutes and then push those hips forward by squeezing the glutes, allowing our knees to bend a little bit forwards in order to counter out this upper torso leaning backwards. And so when you place all four of those together, what happens is you get a really nice big old hip circle that goes to the side, the front, the other side, and the back. If we look at all this entire motion here, torso has big movement, hips has big movement, and now we're getting the most maximum range of motion that we possibly can while our feet are stationary and on the ground. That doesn't mean to say that a small hip circle with a steady torso on top is bad. It's more to say that if the spine is available to move in bigger motions, which it is available to move in bigger motions, you should apply those bigger motions into your life to be ready for any and all kind of scenarios. Don't forget to go the one direction and then the other direction. But sometimes the spine needs just a little bit of help in order to get it to twist and move properly. That is when we enter the ground and we extend one leg out in front of ourselves. With the other knee, we're gonna lift it up. Up close is cool, but about that medium range is where we want it to be. With this straight on position here, we're going to take the opposite elbow. So if it's right knee, we're looking at left elbow, and we're going to wrap it across. The key here is we're going to turn our body to the right or to the left from your perspective while driving the elbow into our knee. When we drive the elbow into our knee, we're going to drive the knee into our elbow, creating this balance of tension within our spine. In doing so, we're going to be able to twist our spine slowly apart in a good way, like a tornado ripping things out into its proper place. When you finish with one side, go ahead and repeat the same feat with the other side. You may find placing the offhand on the ground and slightly pushing it away to facilitate more twist would be more advantageous to you. In doing so, you'll create a little bit more stability while again applying the same force, knee here, elbow there, to help create that tension. Lastly, as a bit of a slight bonus tip, when we're going about this twistity twist, what we do want to do is instead of having our spine be rounded like so, we're going to try to go ahead and apply some extension into it to make it as tall as possible. Making it a little bit taller will help the twisting motion go a little bit better with a nice proud chest, as we're really taking that head and looking away, taking that chest, opening it up, as we go ahead and use our offhand to help push ourselves into this full entire body twist that will help our spine release itself. From cat into the cow to the hip circles and the spine twist, we're really forcing that spine to all its possible ranges of motion, except for one, which is massive extension. And let's get into it, how to do it nice, proper, and safely. This too will be done on the ground, starting in a prone position. Prone simply means to be on your stomach. From here, we're gonna go ahead and just begin with an easy variation. When we're on our elbows, we're gonna push downward so we're nice and tall. Immediately, there's a nice little curvature going on within the spine. Chin slightly pointed up at a 45-degree angle to help further facilitate this nice little arc going on right here. Notice them elbows are directly beneath my shoulders, and again, nice active push. To push it one step further, replace them elbows with them hands, elbows inside the body, and push straight up into what's known as a cobra. Really nice. Though the position may look as if I'm trying to actively create as much arc in my lower body as possible, what's really happening here is I'm not worried about going backwards. I'm more concerned about pushing down and taking my chest as high as I can. So one more time, The motion is straight up. It isn't backwards. While a habit of having a slouched body position isn't doing you any benefits in the department of good body posture along with good natural habits, it isn't the number one thing ruining you. What is the one thing ruining you is the unwillingness to go ahead and expand the motion that your lower spine has available to you, because at the end of the day, a super slouch position is just one motion that the spine has available to you. And like with everything in life, too much of one individual thing will more or less become a bad thing. And thus, if you do this a lot, don't forget to go ahead and do all the other possible ranges of motions for your spine as well. That way you stay nice and healthy and relatively safe. Now you know.